Okay, looks like we're all present and accounted for. And so with that, I would reconvene the board from closed session. And there are no closed session reportable actions to be reported on. So with that, I would ask our student representative, Mr. Shane Strawn, if he would please lead us in the flag salute.
Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so I suspect first day of school and everybody's managing to get through it. Welcome back to all of those that have had some time off, and I hope it was very enjoyable for you. So with that, I would public comment for board policy 2350. Any person may address the board at this time, either on an agenda item or other matters of interest to the public that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. A maximum of 5 minutes is allowed for each speaker and a maximum of 15 minutes per item unless otherwise extended by the board. So with that, I would ask if anyone has comments today concerning items that are on the agenda. Apparently none. So with that, I would ask for public comments concerning items not on the agenda today. All right, none as well.
You have one.
Whoops, I'm sorry.
Yes, you have to come up to the
Please come up to the podium and give us your name and where you reside. Is that correct? Is that all we need?
Yeah.
Hi. I would just like to take this opportunity to introduce myself to the board. My name is Kate Bourne. I reside here in Visalia. I am an employee of the Public Health Department with the Tobacco Control Program, and I just wanted to take a moment to let the board know about the work that the Tobacco Control Program does here in Tulare County and what services we can offer the campus of the College of the Sequoias. We provide information and technical assistance and any sort of matters of expertise concerning tobacco products and other related products. And we do different sorts of observational surveys and help to implement smoke-free policies, tobacco-free policies on campuses. I'm sure most of you know that the CSUs and UCs all will be implementing completely tobacco-free policies on their campuses. So if this is a matter that is of interest to the board or would like to look into it further, my program and myself are available for any meetings or information. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much for being with us today and providing that information to us. And we have your business card now, so
We do. We have
feel
contact
free
information.
to contact us, or we would do the same from our standpoint.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Apparently not, so we will start with our student trustee report. Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So today obviously was the first day of school. It's been really, really hectic. I know that I was able to see Stan this morning along with some other administrators out on the quad, helping students get to their classes, checking their schedules. I was really, really happy to see that happen this year. I don't think they had it last year, I'm not sure, but this year it turned out wonderful, especially for myself. I was trying to look for a class, and I was able to get helped on by our career technical educator here, so I was really, really happy about that. And so I was really, really happy. No, it was a great service that the students were provided this morning, and of course it's been hectic. Parking, of course, is probably the number one thing students will complain about the most. throughout the first couple weeks, but a lot of them managed to get through that. So it was very, very successful. I was able to also meet in my new office today, so I was very, very happy. I know Stan saw me come walking down the road with all the supplies, so of course that was a little different. Otherwise, I mean, for the beginning of school, nothing much more to report, except I do have a surprise. I know Stan gave a surprise during a convocation the other day, so I would like to give my surprise. I have found my replacement on the board. So the replacement is here today. She is with us. Her name is Isabella O'Keefe, if you could raise your hand. She will be taking over the trustee position. I'm really, really happy. And she's proven herself to be a real professional individual, and she will do a great job up here serving the students on the board. And I will be going back to my daily activities as president, serving the students and working with Stan, of course, closely. And I would also like to get her up to speed on some of the task force that we have as well too, which I'll work with you on later on. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for my report. Very short and sweet this evening.
Okay. Thank you, Shane. Look forward to your replacement, not that literally. You know what I mean, right? Yeah. We'll just leave it at that. Okay, starting to my left, board member reports. Mr. Zumwalt?
None.
None.
Nope.
Makes it unanimous.
It's real boring in the summer, huh?
Mr. Foster, I know has a report for us today.
I'll see if I can fill your time for you guys.
Foundation.
I just have a few quick announcements. One, I wanted to ask Megan to put up a little picture for us. If you haven't been near the center of the quad on the Visalia campus lately, you may have missed seeing our newest sign. This is a project funding project from the COS Foundation from our 2016-2017 cycle. It's a $35,000 project that permanently enhances the COS campus, helps students and visitors navigate this campus. I wanted to thank Dean of Facilities Byron Woods for being the first to propose the idea and also for implementing it so well. And by that I mean the design of it is definitely, the construction of it is definitely a permanent construction. It's built to last. However, all of those panels of information that you see are very easily and very inexpensively replaced. So as our campus evolves, that sign will, all the words and even the map in the center for less than $300 can be replaced. So we're really excited about how this is going to work.
So it can be constantly updated and kept accurate and so on. Right.
I also wanted to call attention to it is in your consent calendar, but I wanted to call attention to it and recognize that the almond crop donation that we received over the summertime, Cream of the Crop Ag Service just demonstrated how people can support what we do here at College of Sequoias in a multitude of ways. They donated the trees, they donated the planting, the labor of planting those trees, installing the irrigation equipment, and then the labor to tend to those young trees along the way. So it's a big thanks to Cream of the Crop Ag Service. It's over $17,000 worth of materials and labor costs that was donated to the College of Sequoias and through the foundation and ultimately to the College of Sequoias. So it was really a great opportunity to show just some different ways. I don't know how many colleges can say, how many community colleges can say we got a donation of a crop of almond trees. So. I also wanted to mention that this month we received a $36,000 donation from the Mayeki family. They contributed that to augment their existing scholarship endowed fund. So they brought that fund up to $75,000 to support 2 existing scholarships. They have a memorial scholarship for Lorraine Mayeki Combs and a scholarship for John Combs. And by adding this additional capital, they were able to achieve what they desire, which is 2 $1,000 scholarships in memorial for John Combs and 2 $1,000 scholarships in memorial for Lorraine Mayeki Combs. And it was just really, we just feel really good that the Mayeki family values supporting COS students as a means to memorialize their family members, and believes in the stewardship of the COS Foundation to achieve that. So we're really happy about that. I wanted to also mention to you that we are ready to announce the COS Hall of Fame inductees for 2017. We have 4 great alumni that have been notified of their induction into the Hall of Fame this year. Dick Depker, who was a COS baseball great for us and a professional player, and he was a longtime local educator here. I think his last position held within Visalia Unified School District was that of principal at the Golden West. He passed away last October, so this is our posthumously awarded induction that will be occurring this year. The family is very excited. In fact, we are going to be seeing some of his family from Canada coming to the event. So the family is really excited about doing this. Carrie Hydash, she's our CEO of the Family Healthcare Network, and a relatively young alumni, but has been doing some spectacular work, and I think she's been doing a great job at the Family Healthcare Network. Judge Jennifer Conn-Shirk, she's a Tulare County Superior Court judge. We hope to align our Pathways to Law School students that are in that program right now to come to the Hall of Fame and show what can be done from a COS graduate here locally. And then finally, Charlie Pitliano. He's a longtime farmer and longtime supporter of College of Sequoias and serving on the Ag Advisory Council. And he had quite a bit of hand in that donation of the almond orchard project. So I think we have a great slate of 4 inductees this time. In front of you, you have all the dates for the upcoming events, the Rotary Brew Fest, the Crush Party, the COS Hall of Fame, and the Power of the Purse. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Foster? All right, thank you, Tim. Next up, we have the accreditation report by Dr. Lacerna.
Good evening. I have handing out a paper for you guys with the update. Make sure we have enough. I just wanted to make sure I had enough up there. Here is the first part of this is our update on our local accreditation. So our accreditation work group will convene again at the end of August, and we will be disseminating drafts of each of the standards starting in September. So standard 1 in September, 2 in October, 3 in November, etc. We have also received our letter from the ACCJC confirming our fall 2018 accreditation visit. We have requested that October 8th through the 11th of 2018 be our dates for the site visit. And we also have our strategic plan task forces beginning to meet. We had a training on August 10th, and I would like you all to save the date for Friday, September 29th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the Academic Senate Strategic Plan Summit that we hold in conjunction with the Institutional Planning and Effectiveness Committee and the Strategic Plan Task Forces. And President... September 20, it's on there on the form I just handed you, but it's September 29th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's the third little paragraph there. And Superintendent Nunez was at our training and is serving on the Standard 4, or excuse me, as the superintendent, I meant President Nunez. Board President Nunez is serving on the Accreditation Task Force 4, and Shane is also serving, Mr. Strawn is also serving on number 4 as well, right? On number 4. So they were both there at the workshop and received all the information on the strategic plan. On the statewide front, the ACCJC has settled their lawsuit with the California Teachers Federation on August 7th. This was a lawsuit that was brought against the ACCJC in 2013 following the accreditation issues with the City College of San Francisco. And I just included a quote there from, this is from the ACCJC president, that the settlement acknowledges a number of the changes in ACCJC operations, some of which were already brought into focus They've routinely made changes and through continuous self-improvement. And the settlement also notes that in keeping with their policies, they have autonomy to set its policies and practices. And they're feeling that it's going a long way toward improving relations between the two entities. Under the policy changes, the first one, I believe, is as a result of this settlement with the California Teachers Federation. Where it impacts us is that there is now a policy change out for first read that will be, the commission will take action on in January 2018. It is incorporating standard 3A6 into 2A2. And there have been ongoing concerns about standard 3A6. And a lot of it has to do with the way it's been represented. It is also one of the standards that we received sanctions for back in 2012. I'll go back to this first page, but if you turn to the third page in your packet, you can see what standard 3A6 is. At the third page at the top, it says proposal regarding standard 3A6. The standard itself reads that this is the evaluation of faculty, academic administrators, and other personnel directly responsible for student learning includes, as a component of that evaluation, consideration of how these employees use the results of the assessment of learning outcomes to improve teaching and learning. Again, if you recall, this is one of the standards that we worked really closely with our own union here to work on some language to incorporate that. What in this finding or in the new policy that's coming out, there was a lot of confusion or misconceptions because that 3A6 is under the heading of human resources. This is under bullet 1 under this same page, and it conflates the student learning focus with personnel performance expectations. There are several other reasons, but if you look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th bullet point, it is also ambiguous as to who is covered by the phrase other personnel directly involved in student learning. That's two of the biggest issues we've faced in addressing that standard here at COS. If you look at the last page of this packet, what they are proposing is to eliminate that entire standard 3A6, and that instead it will be integrated into standard 2A2, which includes that a shared practice, more of a shared approach for individuals working and engaging in the in student data at the departmental level, and that evaluation teams can focus on collaborative conversations with faculty and staff and administrators rather than just as a personnel issue. So they're proposing including in standard 2A2 the new version, which is in the middle of the page, that they would that faculty would regularly engage in ensuring the content and methods of instruction meet academic expectations and exercise collective ownership over the design and improvement of the learning experience. So it's not removing student learning outcomes or that we don't have to focus on learning and having discussions about data, but it's taking it out of the personnel section, which makes a lot of sense to all of us. And so I think that was a really positive move on their part. So we have until we have like the next 90 days to give feedback on this change. So I would request that if anyone has any feedback, that if you send it to me as the accreditation liaison officer, I can compile that information and send comments back to the ACCJC from us. Greg?
At one time, the California community colleges were talking about dropping these guys and going to somebody else. Where does that stand?
So we did talk about that at our last meeting as well, but there are two groups working on that now. There's two different issues that they're working on, and Stan's involved in that at the CEO level. One issue is working on improving the standards and the work that we're doing and improving the relations with ACCJC and all of the accreditation work as it exists now. The other group is looking at a long-term plan for a move away from ACCJC to another accrediting agency. That is a 10-year plan, and they're still discussing that. There are CEOs involved, CIOs, numerous folks across the state, and that is still under discussion, but they're looking at that as a possible 10-year plan.
So when you say 10 years, you mean 10 years from now they may switch?
It would take 10 years for us to make that kind of move. With 113 community colleges moving to a new accreditor, it would take 10 years to make that transition, to find an accreditor who's willing to take 113 community colleges.
Sounds like it would be better if they could work out their differences.
That's one of the options.
Yeah, actually, what's happening, Board Member Sherman, is, as Dr. Lacerna said, these two things are going on simultaneously right now. But these two work groups are made up primarily of superintendent presidents or CEO, chancellors across the institution. And there was a real interest in wanting the processes with the ACCJC right now to be better, for them to hear and respond to the things that the field were saying. That's what work group 1 is doing with these recommended changes and so on. That second work group, as Dr. Lacerna said, really did propose that we migrate to a different accrediting commission, one that's more consistent with four-year colleges and universities. CEOs across the state a year ago reached consensus that that's the direction we would like our statewide institution to move. It was determined at that time that the time frame to really accomplish that would be a minimum of about a 10-year period. That work group has then put into place some of the steps to begin to accomplish that. The first were that we, on our existing ACCJC, have representatives sit on that commission, currently from the WASC Senior, which is the Western Association of Schools and Colleges senior division that monitors four-year colleges, have one of those staff members and representatives join now and sit on the ACCJC to start to understand the differences and the similarities. The other thing that happened is the new president for the ACCJC Commission was formerly staffed by WASC Senior. So it's someone coming from that other level to the ACCJC now, not only to make the current practices better, but to start laying the groundwork for what that long-term transition could look like. So there's multiple steps in place to make that transition over the next 10 years. It was just important for all of us to make sure everybody knew that's a 10-year process so that people understand how important it is that we still work hard to fulfill our current ACCJC requirements. Does that make sense?
So, thank you. Back to this change, we have worked really closely with our faculty over the past 5 years to implement what we're doing now with student learning outcomes, and I don't believe that this has a huge impact on us, on the good work that our faculty are doing in regards to student learning outcomes. They will take action, the ACCJC will take action in January of 2018, and it's still unclear if that would be in effect for our visit in fall of 18, but my guess is that yes, the change would be in effect. So I'll be working closely with the ACCJC staff to see how that impacts our writing of this standard and our writing of that section. And in addition, I will work closely with Dr. Trimble and Mr. Hurst and Cost and Academic Senate on how this change will impact any of the work that we're doing with the faculty. So I'll talk with both of them about that as well. Any questions on that change? Okay, if you go back to the first page, the last thing, which is really great news, they also, another policy change from the ACCJC is they're no longer requiring hard copies of the reports. So no more binding, no more sending it to graphics, no more printing. We will be able to submit everything electronically, which is really makes us happy. So those are the big changes on the local and on the ACCJC focus. Any other questions?
All right, very good. Okay, under superintendent's report, looks like we have a nice long list of introductions to make
Yeah,
today.
this is always fun. I'm going to ask Dr. Lacerna to come back to the podium now. She's going to lead us in some introductions of new faculty to the board.
If it's okay with everyone, I'd like to go out of order a little bit because we do have one faculty member here who has her little child with him, and I think he's ready to leave the board meeting. So I'm going to invite Brent Davis up, our Dean of PE and Athletics, to introduce our new faculty member in athletics.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be back here again. Just after a couple months ago, we were able to introduce another faculty from the physical education division just a couple months ago. So a real exciting time for us down in PE. And again, we're here. I have the honor of introducing two people tonight. And Aymara Quinones, who's our new dance faculty. A little bit about Aymara. She graduated from Texas Women's University with her Master's in Fine Arts. And she brings a strong choreography background to College of the Sequoias, having done choreography work for Disney, having done choreography work for the USA Channel, the E Channel, some of those things. So she has a real strong background in choreography. We had a strong candidate pool going into the rounds of interviews and all that, and Aymara was able to make her way to the top. We're really excited. She's going to bring a lot to College of the Sequoias in terms of all the work that she's going to be doing with our extracurricular activities and with the plays and the recitals and things of that nature. So without further ado, we have Aymara Quinones and her son Ryder. So.
Hello, is this working? Okay. So as a performer, I have to check the mic before I give you my speech. Hi, how are you? Again, my name is Aymara Quinones. I have a BA in dance, a BS in business, an MFA in dance from Texas Women's University. I'm also certified in Pilates, both mat and equipment, in Zumba, and in Turbo Kick. I will not only be in charge of the dance department and the dance team, I will also be choreographing the musicals. So now I know that there is a change now in the theater department where there's not just one musical per school year, but there's two. Yay. So yay, I hope to see you all there for my debut. I do have a huge professional theater background. I was Anita in West Side Story and Timoon in Once on this Island, if any of you have heard of those musicals. I also choreographed the LA premiere of Parade, and I was involved in the premiere of Carrie the Musical that had its LA premiere as well. Yes, Stephen King, Carrie, the book. So I'm super excited to be here. I hope to eventually develop an online course either in dance history or dance appreciation. I also am wanting to start probably an AA in dance from our department, and also I hope to start bringing some different cultural awareness of different dances. I am in the works right now of bringing an African dance class, master class, to the College of the Sequoias. So very excited to be here, and thank you for having me. And of course, this is my son over here, maybe future student, I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, any questions or, okay. So I think, and Brett might have mentioned, we had 2 long-term retirements in, long-term people retire in P and athletics, so we're really excited to get new folks in there. I'm going to, excuse me, go ahead and introduce Dr. Techo, who is going to come up and introduce some new math and biology folks. We had a biologist leave to go to another college to be closer to her family, and we had another biologist become a dean, who I'm going to introduce in a few minutes. And so we were able to backfill those folks, and then also we have someone out on sabbatical for math, and so we're backfilling mathematics as well. So Dr. Techo will come up and introduce those folks.
Thank you, Dr. Lacerna. Get a little closer, guys. I'm very proud to introduce these 3 individuals here who, as Dr. Lacerna mentioned, will be replacing some staff that have moved on or that have found different opportunities. Our first candidate is in mathematics, Mr. David Martin. What's David? David is a native of Visalia and a graduate of Mount Whitney High School. And I asked him, he even told me he went to Crestwood Elementary, so yes, that's a great school. He has a bachelor's degree in mathematics from UC Davis, a master's degree in mathematics from CSU Fresno, and a PhD from UC Merced in applied mathematics, where he is a summa cum laude graduate. He's has been a lecturer at UC Merced for a while and taught statistics and calculus, and also served as a research assistant in computational fluid dynamics under Dr. Francois Blanchette. I like that name. Yeah. He was an outstanding graduate student, and he received an award from UC Merced, and also received the Dean's Distinguished Fellowship Award. And I'm very proud to welcome David Martin to our mathematics faculty. David?
Thank you all. I'm very happy to be here. I am also a former student at COS. I did my senior year in high school here at College of Sequoias because the high school system wasn't really suited for me. So,
Welcome back.
thank you.
Becca? I'm very proud to introduce Becca Clint. Becca Vialta. And Becca is, I've known Becca, she's my former student. And she's a longtime associate of the MESA program at COS. Becca also attended Visalia schools and was born and raised here in the city. She has 3 associate degrees from COS in chemistry, biology, math, science, and continued her studies at UC San Diego in biological sciences, where she was also a summa cum laude graduate. She then continued her studies in neurobiology at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York. Becca has been an employee of COS, where she came back and actually helped us in the MESA program, and actually served also as a substitute teacher for Coalinga Unified. I think one of my favorite stories about Becca is she actually spent time in Africa, where she was being chased by baboons and hippopotami and things like that. She survived. Actually, she survived with the help of a COS graduate whose brother drove from Nairobi to go save them in the bush. So COS has its connections in Nairobi. Isn't that awesome? Becca is an NSF and Ford Foundation Fellow and a Mark Scholar from UC San Diego. I'd like to ask you to join me in welcoming Becca Vialta to our faculty.
Thank you, Dr. Techo, for the introduction. And as a COS graduate, I must say I'm very happy and I'm very excited to be back and get to teach at COS. So thank you.
Our next candidate is Josh Dillard. He is a native of Porterville and a graduate of Porterville College, and where he distinguished himself as a biologist. He transferred to San Diego State University, where he studied cell and molecular biology and microbiology. He completed his master's degree at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in molecular and microbiology, and is actually replacing Dr. Jesse Wilcoxon, who also went to San Luis Obispo. So we know he has the same training as the person he's replacing. Josh is a working microbiologist. He was working with Ventura Coastal in Tipton as their microbiologist, where he trained lots of staff and was doing quite a bit of testing. He has also taught quite a bit at San Luis Obispo in microbiology, cell biology, and molecular biology. His colleagues there did mention that he was one of the top teaching assistants at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. So please join me in welcoming him to our microbiology department.
Thank you for the introduction. Thank you all for also having me here and meeting me. I'm very excited to teach again. I took a year off of teaching to work in the industry, and I learned that I love teaching way too much to not do it. So I came back to it, and I'm really excited to do it again. Thank you.
Before they walk out, I do want to say I had the honor of having lunch with our 28 new faculty members on Wednesday, and a couple of stories are that David was still teaching class at Merced through Friday and was grading papers on Friday and moved to Visalia on Saturday. And Rebecca moved the farthest. She came from New York, so we have very long distance and a lot of effort to get here, so I really appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to introduce our English faculty member who is not here, but she's probably because it's the first day of school is there, but we've also hired Teresa Rodriguez in English. She has her bachelor's degree in English from Biola University and a master's from CSU Fullerton in English, and is in the process of completing her PhD in English at Texas A&M University, where she was a graduate assistant in the English department for 5 years, and most recently has been serving as the writing consultant in the University Writing Center at Texas A&M. She's also taught high school English at Los Altos High School and served as a tutor in the Writing Center for CSU Fullerton. And Teresa is teaching 3 of our dual enrolled English classes at Woodlake and Exeter High Schools, along with English classes here on our Visalia campus. And she just also drove across from Texas and got here last week. So I imagine that's part of the reason why she's not here tonight, but I wanted to go ahead and introduce Teresa. Next, I will introduce our new dean, and so I have Dr. Wilcoxon come up, and I'm happy to introduce Dr. Jessie Wilcoxon. We had a very competitive search for the new dean of Business, Social Science, and Consumer Family Studies. We had the opportunity with Cindy Delane's retirement to bring back a position that had been vacant for a while in the area of the Dean of Business and Social Science and Consumer Family Studies, which Dr. Atecho and Cindy Delane had absorbed into their positions. And so we were able to reconfigure that and hire this position again. So we were really excited, although very competitive. We came out with the best of the best, one of our own. Dr. Wilcoxon has his bachelor's degree in biology from Humboldt State University and a master's degree in biological science from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. He went on to earn his doctorate in education from California State University, Fresno. Jesse has served as a full-time biology professor for College of Sequoia since 2005. He has served as division chair for the science department from 2009 to 2015. And he participated as the faculty representative on the Institutional Planning and Effectiveness Committee, the Academic Senate, and COSTA. He is currently the director of the Realm Title V grant at COS that's for STEM students, for science, technology, engineering, and math students. Over the summer, I had the opportunity to attend the Academic Senate Curriculum Institute with Dr. Wilcoxon. Got to know him on our drive down there. So just to throw some personal stuff out there, when not at COS, he is very busy with his 4 children and a home in Yoko Valley. He recently worked with Southern California Edison to get electricity for the first time in his house last summer. So with 4 kids in a house with no electricity, I have no idea, but I know that means he's going to be a great manager and a great dean at COS if he's able to manage all of that. So I'm really excited to welcome Dr. Wilcoxon as he transitions to our COS management team this year.
Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to have been selected for this dean's position. Again, I've been here at COS for 12 years, so the transition's been really, really nice so far. Everybody's been very welcoming, open arms. I don't think I could have asked for more in terms of stepping into a position where the dynamics have changed between colleagues and now a dean to faculty. I didn't know everybody in the divisions I have, which are consumer family studies, business, and social science, but I knew a number of them, and it hasn't taken long to get to know everybody. They threw a party Friday that, kind of in my honor, and then the 2 new faculty members, and so it was, again, just a very warm welcome. I've actually already been working with the division chairs more particularly over the summer. They're all a great group of people. It's really, even from this perspective, I can see how much work they actually do. I can't tell you how many emails and so forth that I was sending them. It's their vacation time, and they're there all the time, and so it's been really great. I guess for the first, at least initially this year, some of my main goals would be to become a little bit more accustomed to my role. It is obviously different than what I've done in the past. I'm familiar with a lot of the roles and responsibilities, but there's obviously a lot of things that I have to learn. I've had I would say a good group of people, mentors, or my current mentors now as other deans that have been more than willing to reach out and provide guidance, and this is how I would maybe direct my emphasis or my efforts in this situation, or this is maybe something that I would do in that situation. And again, that's been really helpful to me so far, to have not only faculty be welcoming, but also my fellow deans and Dr. Lucerna and our president, and it's just been great. I'm gonna shut up now. I'm just kind of rambling on. But, I'm looking forward to it, and I really thank you for the opportunity to take on this role. Yes.
Mr. Zumwalt?
Being a dean is a different role, same business, a different role. Why'd you want to do it?
I had that in the back of my mind for a long time. As a faculty member, I came in and I was very content teaching, but I'm not the kind of person who likes to have limitation. I always like to have my doors open. That's actually why I went back to get my doctorate, in part, and I just kind of took a liking to the idea. I did the division chair role. I was in there for 6 years. I liked it. I liked it. I liked the dynamics. Kind of got out of the idea mindset. I had my youngest daughter. She had some issues and so forth. So she's about 3.5 now, and she's a lot better. So because some of the issues have settled down, I felt it was just a good time. And in my point, I felt I had the knowledge that I could transition in, and I just think it was the right thing for me to do, and I haven't regretted it for 1 second since then. I might not say that in a year or so, but
Thank you.
Well, we're glad you did. Thank you.
welcome.
I went out of order because Dr. Wilcoxon is going to introduce our final academic faculty, and then we'll switch to counseling. He was going to introduce Timothy Linehan in philosophy. Timothy's supposed to be here, but I imagine he's off philosophizing or something. So I don't know the word, but Jesse's going to introduce Timothy.
Jesse, before you start, I know a little bit about your background. Your grandparents were both teachers at Woodlake. Your mom, I believe, was a student of mine at one point. And she was, also a school nurse here at COS?
Yes, she actually started the
So,
the health center here.
he has a very good basis for his background with both grandparents and his mom and dad. So congratulations, Jesse.
And my Aunt Frances. Thank you. I appreciate that. So Timothy Lanahan is our newest psychology instructor. Again, just philosophy instructor. Just a little bit of background. He earned his bachelor's in psychology from Taylor University. He has 2 master's degrees in philosophy, one from Texas Tech University and a second from Santa Barbara. He's been an adjunct instructor in philosophy and also a full-time instructor in philosophy. I haven't had the opportunity to mingle with him very much. I have kind of heard stories from people and a little bit from him. I know he's got family here in Santa Maria, so that was one of his driving forces or motivations to come back to California. He's from Chicago. He was in the Peace Corps in Bolivia for quite a period of time, And I guess one of the most interesting things, or kind of comical things, if you want to call it that, maybe not in his perspective, was on his trip out. Well, let me tell you, the second interview he did, he brought his wife and child to Santa Maria, and he came and did the interview in person, and then he was offered the job just a day or two later. It was relatively short turnaround, and they were doing vacationing. So he actually just decided to go back to Chicago by himself, left the wife and the kid here, basically gave his I don't know, 2-week notice, if you will, packed the whole house up, everything, did it all by himself. He drove out, took him like 4 days. He had a number of issues. He was in the middle of the Arizona desert, and he had hub failure on the trailer. He looks at smoking, so he's sitting out in the middle of the desert for 4 hours waiting for help. And so he arrived literally in the nick of time, and and he's been gung-ho ever since then. I mean, he was bummed he even got here late, but I mean, it was really issues beyond his control. He's got a really upbeat personality. I talked to him about that, and he was laughing about it the whole time. And so we're really looking forward to having him. I think he's going to work. I think he's going to fit well.
Make sure you bring him to the next board meeting. I'd like to meet him.
Yes.
I don't think I can outdo that. I don't think Student Services has any desert stories, but we're equally thrilled with our two newest hires as well. If I could have Christy and Amber join me here, I'll ask our Dean of Counseling, actually Dean of Student Services, specifically for counseling, Jessica Morrison. Jessica will come up and make these introductions.
Sure. Good evening. We were just giggling, Christy and Amber and I, that we don't have stories from the bush or from the desert. But I'm sure in Student Services we have some that aren't appropriate for this venue. I'd like to also mention really quickly to Tim Foster that all day long, you put the phone down. All day long I took credit for that fabulous map. People kept coming in and thanking me, and I said, now I know who to send them to. So anyway. And to Jesse, I probably owe you an apology in advance. And I don't know, President Carsosa, if you noticed, in Dean's Council last week, every time you said Jesse, I started to speak for him. But my father and all of my uncles call me that. So I'm going to, if you see me do that, it's not that I'm a one-upper. I took credit for the, yeah.
We actually have a bigger problem if Jesse starts answering to Jessica. So.
And that would be fine. Okay. So first up, Christy, why don't you step up here? First and foremost, I'm excited about this model behind us, because through this model of integrated planning.
Model. Thank you. He's good looking.
All right. Back to Christy. Come on.
Jess.
I know. But through our model of integrated planning, Student Services got a new position, and super excited. We've never had a full-time faculty member instruct the courses in our division, and it is a huge deal for us, in that we'll have someone to help us coordinate the student learning outcomes, kind of unite all of the adjunct faculty, in addition to her counseling and teaching about 8 units of our student success and career counseling classes. This is her. Christy comes to us after 16 years at Reedley. And at Reedley, she's probably worn about every hat, as you often do in smaller colleges, with tons of expertise. So I could not be more thrilled to add her to our faculty. She's already shown tremendous flexibility, as you must have in student services and in a new position. So without further ado, Christy Hodges.
I'd just like to say thank you. It's been a great transition already, and I'm just really thrilled with just already the warm welcome that I've received. The students have been great too, even helping me find my classes as well. So it's been, and the administration and support colleagues as well too. So I'm really excited to be here. I had heard really good things about COS, so it's really nice to be a part of this team. Thank you.
next, I have equally as much excitement to introduce Amber Alvarez Soto. If you recall, a few years ago, we had a loss in our faculty of Teresa Guadiana, who was the former coordinator, lead faculty for the Puente program. And so after a really rigorous search, because we knew that would be a very difficult replacement, we found Miss Amber here. She comes to us from Fresno State, Assistant Director of Admissions. You can correct me if I have your title incorrect. Transfer admissions. Many of our counselors, as soon as they met her, were so excited because she is the person at Fresno State behind the emails, helping us get our students into Fresno State. She comes to us with 12 years of evaluation experience between Fresno State and Cal Poly. And she will be coordinating, teaching, counseling, and working with all of the students that were kind of a little lost in the pipeline with the passing of Teresa. So she's looking them up, and we're making sure we're getting them transferred on as well. And I am thrilled to have Amber here.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to echo, Christy's mention of the warm welcome. I had my first class today, and I was a little nervous, probably more nervous than the students, but I just felt very comfortable with the group that I got, and I got to meet them last week, and I think I just needed that to that reaffirm, the right decision, because I never thought I would leave the CSU, but I'm proud and very happy with this move. So thank you very much.
Okay, well, we're very thankful to have all of those new hires with us starting this new academic year. So, all right, we'll move on to the next section of our agenda, and we'll start with the academic Senate report. And Dr. Trimble is here, but has no report for us today. We will then call on Mr. Hurst for the Costa report.
Thank you. I'll keep the report relatively short. At Friday's convocation, Costa celebrated faculty coming back to school with a lunch provided free to members. We'd like to actually commend Zach Patterson for the work he did on that. He did a really good job. This social event it represents the first of a number of changes the new Costa Exec Board is instituting to improve campus relations. We had a great turnout, and we expect to make this a tradition. This Thursday, we've scheduled a vote on the ratification of the tentative agreement reached this summer. Faculty have been notified of insurance plan changes, and that process is underway. And in lieu of a longer report, as this was the first day back, it's been a little exhausting. I'll just comment briefly on Mr. Carrizosa's announcement of his retirement. On a professional note, we appreciate that he came to this college at a time of turmoil, but his commitment to involve faculty in all aspects of governance on campus has done much to improve relations. We've been encouraged by Mr. Carrizosa's willingness to listen to and reflect upon the value of faculty of the district. His personal commitment to the betterment of this college is without question. We can only hope that his successor will hold to similar high standards. And on a personal note, I've appreciated his candor, his straight-to-the-point personality. And while our viewpoints may differ on one thing or another, public education needs more top administrators as committed as he has been to the students and community we serve. And I want to thank you, Stan, and wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hurst. Okay, next on the agenda is Mr. Lamar for the CSEA report.
I would just quickly like to say, a week from today, I hope to be in John's office typing up a tentative agreement. So it is my sincere hope that a week from today, we will also be in the same boat Costa is.
Thank you.
We do too.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a COSAFA representative here today? I don't believe we do. All right, so with that, we will move on to information items, starting with the annual report on distance education. And I noticed that Dr. Nolan is here with us once again today, but Jennifer is, I believe, going to make the introduction.
I'm just going to introduce Dr. Nolan, who is our distance education coordinator. She will give you her annual report on distance education.
Thank you very much. I just heard we're going to get a dance class online.
How's that gonna work? I can hardly wait. That'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Just like Dancing with the Stars.
It could be. It could be. Well, I sometimes think I shouldn't have my report in August, but I cannot forego the introductions to the new faculty, of the new faculty. It's very exciting. Canvas implementation, it has concluded, essentially. We are fully online with Canvas. Blackboard is no longer available. Student and faculty satisfaction is very high. And I don't know, I think it was the best thing I ever did. Oh, can I take credit for that? Yeah. 250 instructors or more. I checked the statistics the other day when I was having a Canvas training, and I think we were up to 288, and that represents almost half of our faculty. So that is very exciting to me. I am doing a surprise training on Saturday for those people who missed it last week. So we'll see. Online classes, our numbers continue to grow. And I was just talking to one of our chemistry instructors the other day. He is interested in putting a chemistry class online as a hybrid. So they're still going to have their chemistry labs on the ground, but some of the things going into online for chemistry. And that represents a real shift as far as adopting online pedagogy here at the college. I think it'll be very exciting. So the report that you have shows the steady growth of sections, online sections. We were exceeding the numbers that we had back in 2012, so that's pretty exciting. Our annual FTES have gone from 612 in 2011-12 to 817, so that represents quite a bit of growth. The head count in spring, 2959, and 2,000 students in summer, which is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. 4,000 students were enrolled in online classes before the beginning of the semesters. I didn't check the numbers today, but it looks very good. We still have a concern about online class success, and as faculty, we're talking about it a lot more than we used to. We are working on more initiatives to be a little bit more intrusive with the faculty as far as online success strategies go. And I've talked to Dr. Lacerna about a focus of mine personally in the next year or two to work more closely with our online faculty. The Online Education Initiative, which is big time in California, has developed a wonderful system of course review rubrics and activities that I am trained in, and I'm doing more and more individual course reviews, informal course reviews for our online faculty, and I think that might make a difference. We do fall behind in distance ed success, and in some cases those students who earn a C or better, one of the biggest problems we have is the students withdraw at a greater rate from the online classes. So we've had the feeling that this may still be related to a readiness issue with our students, and for years we've had some informal strategies related to having students take a survey. Are you ready for online education? Do you have a computer? Do you have access to the internet? Do you have time management skills? Do you have a compelling reason to finish the class? Those kinds of things. Well, this year we have adopted something from the Online Education Initiative that is kind of a slick package. It's very sweet. It's called Quest for Success. And I adopted it. We adopted it this summer, and we're rolling it out already. What it is a module that every online instructor can have installed in their class. I installed 5 of them today myself for some of our online instructors. And it helps the students measure their readiness. It also helps them access resources immediately for supporting their readiness. Time management in particular, being tech ready is another thing. So I'd be happy to provide you more information about that particular program. But that is going on. We take a look at how many out-of-state students are taking online classes. It's an important issue. If we are deemed to be doing business in other states, we might have to get approval from those other states to do business in other states. And we're really not doing business in other states. In fact, recently we didn't find anybody outside California taking online classes in fall or spring of 17. We will continue to monitor that because it is an issue that will not go away. The law is pretty clear on that. We are working on accreditation relative to distance education. As a committee, our Academic Senate subcommittee is very much involved in that, and I have the privilege of working with Dr. Lacerna as the accreditation co-chair this year. So right there, right in the middle of it. We have to be sure that our online instructors are aware of their responsibilities related to accreditation, and I think we're well positioned to do that. An issue related to accreditation is whether or not we're training our online faculty in matters related to accessibility of digital content for students online. And with the director of the Access and Ability Center, I've developed a training for our faculty. We've already had our new faculty go through it with the teaching boot camp that was held last week, and we've already had them go through it with the technology summit that was last Friday. And all of our online instructors are going to be given regular sweet email messages from me every week for the whole semester, helping them understand the things that they can do to support accessibility with their online classes. The online teaching yes, you got it, David. Mr. Hurst, I'm sorry. So the online teaching certification program went on hiatus this summer, but we did have one of our instructors complete the Online Education Initiative certification, which our Academic Senate endorsed. So we haven't lost a step, but I will be offering the online teaching certification again starting in September 1st, and the dance instructor is signing up, so she's ready to go. We have now like over 80 people who have completed the program. It's a joy. The major accomplishment for distance education last year was the adoption of our distance education plan. And I've shared with you the executive summary. I just want to tell you this was a multiple year process. In fact, when I got here 10 years ago, they said we need a plan. We want it approved by the Senate this year, 10 years ago. So I want to thank David Hurst for being involved in the original task force and helping to gather the forces so that we had our task force take a look at this whole idea for 1 year, and then the next year the Distance Ed Committee went through it and revised it, and then we had it endorsed by the Academic Senate and then the District Governance Senate. So this year is the implementation and monitoring, and our DECOS committee will be doing that. Monitoring and reporting on the plan, but I'm going to be visiting everybody to talk to them about what the plan means and how they might be able to implement the different elements of the plan and support our strategic plan and our master plan along the way. So that was a very exciting thing to occur. It happened right at the end of the semester. So what a way to go out, huh? Thank you for your time. I enjoy sharing that information with you, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to find an answer.
You may have covered this. If you did, I apologize for being redundant. You said that the FTES is like about 800. What kind of success rate is there?
Yeah, we're about 10 percentage points below the face-to-face classes when it comes to. It isn't. It's higher. We do better than the national average. National average is about 15%. Yeah. But we do a course-by-course analysis. We don't just take a look at the whole college or the whole district. We look at Let's say if you've got a course in your division and you teach a face-to-face and you teach an online, we compare those success rates. And in some cases, the distance ed class is much higher
But on average, you're about 10% below.
on average.
Well, you're not disappointed with that, are you?
Well, yeah, we want to get better.
Well, good.
You know, but it is one of those things it's not just about instruction, although there are things we can do better in our instruction. It's the nature of the student. And many of our students think, well, distance ed is going to be a lot easier. And over 30% have responded to a survey question related to that, saying, oh yeah, it's easier. We need to ask the question a little bit differently. What do you mean easier? You don't have to park? Yeah, that's easier if you don't have to get a parking place. But more and more of our students are taking online classes. If you've taken one and you've been successful, you will be more successful in the next one. We do have that data to show that. Many of our students are using Canvas, so they're aware of what this online platform is like. But I find it difficult to help our students understand how to schedule their time. And I think that if everybody could schedule their time, they'd be more successful. I can't do that alone.
It stick to it.
You said you had about 800 this year and you had 600 last year. Is that if you didn't exist, would there just be 800 less FTES, or does it take away from the classic education, or does it add to it, or some ratio? What can you tell me?
Well, I have a bias. I am in favor of online courses for many students. Some students will not be as successful in an online class, but many of our students need the flexibility and time, and they like that better. But I want to say that up front. If we did not have online classes, I think we would still have a lot of students coming, and I don't think it would be a problem with enrollment. But I think some of our students might go somewhere else to get online classes because of the flexibility involved. So that's a tough question to answer. I don't think this district is intending to supplant traditional face-to-face instruction with online. I hope not. I don't think it's appropriate. But I think we're looking at it as an alternative for our students.
With the way, with your plans and current resources, how fast do you think that FTES will grow?
Well, we don't have an item in the distance ed plan for growth. That growth item is a district-wide endeavor, a district-wide strategy, and it is the faculty in divisions that decide whether or not it's appropriate to have a class scheduled as an online class. So I don't think I can answer that question as a distance ed coordinator. It's the faculty who drive the growth.
And we also have, I think, our policy position about online versus face-to-face. Board Member Zumwalt limits the percentage of the total offerings in a particular department that can be shifted or offered online.
Well, I'm not trying to steer anything anywhere. I must admit I was surprised that that's 8% of the total. You know, I hadn't paid enough attention, I guess. So I didn't realize that as much of our FTES was generated that way.
I've heard a rumor that it's the fourth campus.
Well, and I was just going to add that, in fact, I just had an email, I was looking it up from the Chancellor's office, and our new Chancellor is referring to online education as the 115th community college. So
Wow.
it definitely has a big picture out there.
Okay, well, lots of good discussion.
Mr. Chair, I actually have a question, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mentioned that, or no, you mentioned that you had Canvas in your report. Now, today being the first day of class, one of the things of Canvas, I had a chance to talk with a few instructors on this issue, and I noticed that you said also that you're doing a surprise training, I think, on Saturday. The instructors I have talked to are very they're confused or not willing to use Canvas in their instruction. So I guess my question would be is that will you be providing trainings in the future so that if these instructors who do not want or are not wanting to provide it now in their instruction, maybe in the future they're able to provide that in future instruction that they may use in the classroom?
It's my reason for being. I have been providing training for all of our instructors in using Blackboard and now Canvas for all these years. We have multiple methods available to them, and I do try to communicate that the opportunity is there for them. I think that it's pretty common for some of our veteran instructors to avoid computers as much as they possibly can. And there's no requirement to use Canvas, so I honor that. But I do frequently work with instructors who are not comfortable with the whole idea, and it's a challenge. But many of them find out oh, this is cool, and so they start using it.
The reason I say that is because to the students that I talk to around campus, are very high in favor of Canvas. It's a very good program, including myself. I've used it most times. However, this semester I will not be using it at all because my instructors either refuse to use it or they're not trained, or they just feel that it's confusing to them. So I would hope in the near future that those instructors that I've talked to, that are teaching, would go to you and really do the necessary training to help the students in the future. Because myself, a lot of times we're so busy we can't submit directly to the instructor. So having Canvas as that secondary option online makes it a lot more easier, and I can submit it to them that way. So I wanted to bring that up.
I hope they come to me too, and you can tell them. I'll give you my number. Have them call me.
Yeah, make a list and we'll pass those names on. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Dr. Nola, thank you very much. This is the most discussion we've had, I believe, since I've been here on one of your reports, so that's very good. And it speaks to the quality of what you're doing and what you're reporting to us. All right. Next on the agenda must be Mr. Bratch, because he's making his way up to the podium. And am I correct? The annual staffing report, item 2.
Yes, thank you. This is the time of year where I bring to the board our annual staffing report. The purpose of this report is to document the number of employees we have employed here at COS, as well as to indicate the number of full-time equivalent students we have. I've been doing this report now for the past 5 or 6 years, and you'll see in this first attachment you'll have a comparison of the last several years, the number of employees broken down by classification, as well as the number of students we've had enrolled here at the College of Sequoias. This is just for information only. Any questions on my report?
Questions? I think everybody was questioned out on the last report. Any questions for Mr. Bratch? Apparently not.
I have one quick question on the fund.
Just about made it, John.
Just on the fund. Just remind me real quick on the fund. Like, how much can we be off of that, and what are the requirements on our fund on meeting that obligation?
I should point out. Well, I don't have an answer to that question. The report I ran was effective as of August 1st, and I'm looking through the number of hires we've had since the August 1st. I think it's a total of 5 additional full-time faculty on either a semester basis or a 1-year temporary assignment. So that 184 is going to go up to 189, which there's a difference. And I think we have a number of instructional support that technically classify under our full-time obligation.
So we actually, our actual FON number calculated right now is 197. And there's like 5 pages of legislation on how we can count that. And so Vice President Staton and I work closely on that, and we do all the calculations. And it depends on when people leave, when they announce their retirement, and we do have some administrators, for example, who teach. We can count. There's lots of different things that we can count. So we actually did meet our bond for this fall. We're at about 197, but we definitely met the 195.
Got it, okay, perfect. That answers my question.
The math, the gentleman with the masters or in math left, so nobody can answer that question. It's so complicated to figure.
We met the fund, that was.
Well, the model's back on the runway, so maybe I can figure it out. It's a night for annual reports, and I'm no different. I've got the year-end governance report. This is one of the tools that we've put in place as a result of COS 2.0. You've seen these reports before. What we try to do in all of our senates is, gosh, you can hardly see that. I should blow that up next time. There within the District Governance Senate, that group, Steve Lamar and I chair that. We've got representatives from all constituency groups across campus, and we've got those 4 committees underneath. So at the end of every year, there's the 4 committees. At the end of every year, every spring, the members of not only the District Governance Senate, but also those 4 committees are surveyed. Steve and I work together with research to consolidate all those reports, and we come back and well, these are the major initiatives that we look out for the year. All these are geared towards sustainability. Obviously, prior to our last accreditation cycle, we had an issue with sustainability and accountability, and the plans we'd made, we had a difficult time sustaining them. It's no longer the case because of processes like the one I'm presenting tonight. Every spring, we survey our groups in terms of how well we accomplished our initiatives for that year, and then we share them out publicly like I'm doing tonight. So you can see these are the primary 4 questions that we asked our Senate committee members. You can see that out of 41 responses, the lion's share either strongly agree or agree with those 4 statements: that we met our roles and responsibility, we have adequate resources, the workload is appropriate, and we were effective in meeting our initiatives. So we've shared this information back with our Senate and the committees. It'll help with planning for the new year, setting initiatives for the new year. And again, it just closes the loop on last year's cycle. And we'll start a new process with this information. It starts our initiatives for the 17-18 year. And at the end of next year, we'll close the loop again. So it's just continuous feedback, continuous improvement, and closing the loop.
The 41 responses, is that good, or would you want more responses? What's that number
from
for how many people you would like to respond?
From our group, that's probably 70% of our Senate plus the members of those 4 committees. We're only talking about 4 entities, and many of those are duplicates.
I was going to say it's right behind you.
Mm-hmm.
The DGS and then those 4 committees, right?
These 4.
But 70% of the people responded, though. Then that's a good number.
I was going to cheat off Dolly because he could tell me exactly. But you figure District Governance Senate has roughly 25 members, and all of these committees are, they're not exclusively DGS members, but they're chaired by DGS members, and then there's several members. Yeah. So yes, nothing was out of order with that number. Any other questions?
Thank you. No other questions? All right, very good. That would conclude the information section of our agenda, which gets us to the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. An item may be removed from the consent calendar at the request of any member of the Board of Trustees. or any person in the audience and considered as a separate agenda item. With that, do we have any items that anyone would like to remove from the consent calendar? If not, I would accept a motion for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent calendar.
We have a motion to Mr. Zumwalt.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was asleep with the switch. I need to remove item 4.
Okay, item 4 is removed. That's the July 10 regular board meeting minutes. And so with that, I would accept a motion to approve all items except item 4.
Mr. Chair, I move to accept the consent calendars items 1, 2, 3, with the exception of 4.
How about 4? How about 4 through 9?
Or 4 through 9, that'll work.
I mean 5 through 9.
5 through 9, yes, Mr. Chairman, there we go.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of consent calendar items 5 through 9. Is there any additional discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now, Mr. Zumwalt,
Yes,
let's deal with item 4.
I'm sure the minutes are perfect. However, I was not in attendance in July, so I don't really know. So I will, when it comes time to vote, I'll be required to abstain.
Okay.
I move to approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve item 4 of the consent calendar, which is the minutes of the July 10 board meeting. We have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, with one abstention. Mr. Zumwalt. All right, that takes care of that. Let's move on to item 10. We have the College and Career Pathway CCAP agreement with Visalia Unified and Tulare Joint Union High School. This is the second read.
Yes, these were on for information at the last meeting. They're required to come to the board twice. They are going at the same time to the Visalia Unified School Board and the Tulare Joint Union High School. These are the new legislation from last year from the Chancellor's Office, or the legislation, I should say, on college and career pathways agreements for our dual enrolled courses at the high schools. These are not our only dual enrolled classes. These are the ones that qualify under the college and career access pathway, which gives us a little more leniency in some of the ways that we can offer these classes. They were presented as information last time, and they're on for action this time. So we recommend that the board approve these 2 agreements.
Are we approving which 2 agreements?
It's one of them is with Visalia. They're both under the same.
They're under 10.
They're both under 10. One of them is with Visalia Unified School District, and it is for with VTech, the Visalia Technical Early College. It is the second page of the handout, and it is for the Egg 119 courses. And then if you go to the second agreement, I think is page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it is an agreement with Tulare Joint Union High School District at the Tulare Accelerated Charter High School for the electrician training courses and the human development courses.
Okay, I move we approve these 2 courses.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the CCAP agreements. All those in favor, please signify. I'm sorry, is there any further discussion on that? I just point out under that the signature portion with respect to Tulare Joint
It'll
would
be
need to
updated.
which needs, it probably have already done that, so.
It'll be updated with their new superintendent.
So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, let's move on to item 11, which is Mr. Bratch regarding items 11, 12, and the final lucky one, item 13. Christine is the
Lucky 13.
Is the lucky 13.
These are all identical. I've separated the 3 vice presidents to make it cleaner in case there's one you don't want to improve. So we'll see which one that could be. But essentially, all 3 vice presidents are up for renewal. We have a proposed 2-year employment agreement, and the salaries are consistent with our management salary schedule, range 35, step I-15. Other than that, they're pretty standard. They're identical to what they signed back in 2015, which brought them to 2017. So with that,
Can we approve all 3 at the same time?
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
I only wanted 2 out of 3.
Oh, you only had 2?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
You can, but you would have to designate in your motion that you were addressing the items 11, 12, and 13.
I'd like to make a motion to approve items 11, 12, and 13.
Second.
That was the exact same time.
Okay.
Make it 6.
All right, so we have a motion and a second for the approval of agenda items 11, 12, and 13. And so with that, is there any additional discussion on any one of these items? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Mr. President, I wanted to ask our news trustee if she still wants to take the job after tonight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot to learn, but I've decided that I want to get involved with the campus and the students.
All right, well, very good. Well, now that the room is finally warming up a little bit, it's
over.
it's time to adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for being with us today.